This business of projecting scientists that they could be tinkering, they could be doing things, negativity, it erodes the trust that the public had in science.
I need them to tell us how we are going to control the world and control people.
National Agriculture Research Policy of December 2011 highlights the future of Uganda's agriculture being dependent on how the country takes advantage of what science has to offer. The offer is seen in the capacity to develop applicable technologies to boost production and productivity, which needs more support through funding agricultural research. While the potential for agricultural biotechnology may be existent, the need to have the right policy framework and legislation for it remains evident. Unfortunately, when Ugandan members of parliament embarked on the process to pass the legislation, it was met with resistance.
We had also argued that if GMOs were to be given the force of law, then it should be important to have guarantees spelled out in the law that would seek to protect our peasants, our local farmers, and the consumers generally.
The National Biotechnology and Biosafety Bill, as it is popularly known, aims at facilitating and promoting research, development and use of modern biotechnology. It also looks at establishing procedures for bioethical consideration in biotechnology research and strengthening consumer protection and public understanding of products and the benefits of biotechnology. So, where did the members of parliament blunder in passing the law that the president declined to sign?
That it was wrong that Uganda should give up its own ability to have its own seeds for multiplication, for security, to preserve the seeds that have served us well over the years. It would be extremely unwise and foolish to hand over that responsibility to multinational companies.
The subject of genetically modified organisms has been a question of debate for a long time. Russia, one of the world's superpowers, is said to have banned importation of GMOs, branding it a terrorism ploy.
GMO to an ordinary person, is satanic. In scientific terms, it is called cell invasion because over a long period of time, our cells protect themselves. They have a protective layer, that enables the cell to fend off any attack. Now, what GMO does is actually break that protective barrier and leave the cell open. But because of so many thousands or millions of years of development, even when you insert something in the cell without its protective barrier, the cell might still reject it.
In Uganda, it has been a workshop and awareness about GMOs.
Here we have many types, over 300 types of bananas in Uganda. But Uganda is not a center of origin of bananas. But there is some diversity which has taken place over the years. So it is called the secondary center of diversity. Here, if Africa develops science and technology to the level of where those people have reached, there is no doubt Africa by 2100 will be the superpower.
This is the National Animal Genetic Resources Center and Data Bank. It is one of the country's agricultural research agencies found in Entebbe, near Uganda's international airport. Anything to do with enhancing livestock production and productivity through animal breeding to improve food security and eradicate poverty in Uganda is done here.
That's the nitrogen, that one bubbling.
In fact, some prefer to describe it as the home of artificial insemination for livestock, which definitely goes with the research.
you collect semen, you collect embryos from these animals, and you put them in the lab conditions, a process called cryopreservation, stored at negative 196 degrees Celsius. You can keep them for hundreds of years.
The Food and Agriculture Organization tells us that you and me, adults, should take 200 liters of milk in a year and 56 kilos of meat in a year, meaning that in a day you should have about half a liter of milk or a quarter liter, an eighth of kilogram of meat. Now, in the early 1950s, they tried to do research to improve the local animals, but they saw it would take long. It would take long to have our indigenous animals attain the production parameters to address the shortages or to address the needs of our people as far as milk and meat is concerned. And they saw that the fastest way of improving the national herd is through artificial insemination.
What has this kind of research got to do with genetically modified organisms?
Yeah, I mean, if you are altering the genes of one animal to another to produce something, that is correct. But at the same time, the government has also put up farms where we are conserving our indigenous animals. The Ankole, we are conserving them in Inshara. The East African shorthorn zebu, we are conserving them in Kasore. Then the local goats, we are also preserving them in Kasore and another farm. So much as we are genetically engineering some of these animals, but at the back of our mind, we know that anything can happen.
One may call them genetically modified organisms, GMOs. But even if it was interchanged to organisms modified genetically, or MGs, it would still carry the same meaning. Could it be that these organisms are in Africa to stay, even when other countries have banned them, based on the notion that Africa is a dumping ground and trial for every research, good or bad? Where could this be headed?
What affects us here will affect people in the north. The only disadvantage with Africa is that we take the brunt of all these things because we don't have capability, we don't have technology. We are not participants, we are consumers of foreign technologies.
You want to test anything new, you want to test something without regulation, you want to test it on human beings, you bring it to Africa and you'll find a number of excited scientists, who either for prestige or fame or opportunity will just jump on the bandwagon and start marketing it to the population.
Some have described the president's rejection of the bill as sabotage to agricultural research, while others blame it on politics.
And even for the first time, opposition politicians are praising the president. So I think that's something we need to take note of. If Norbert Mao praises the president, does it mean now that he has done the right thing or the information is correct? It still remains misinformation.
It is dealing with controlling food. It is dealing with pooling pharmaceuticals. It is dealing with exclusive rights, which is intellectual property. That is the only sure way of getting rich. And I need that discussion. I don't want this, feeling discussion. Oh, you see, we are hungry. Oh, you see the hunger. Oh, you see the pests. No. The biotechnology is not interested in dealing with your pests. It is only dealing with your pests on the account that it will make money.
So, as the country waits the detabling of this bill, there are questions that remain unanswered. Why has the question of embracing genetically modified organisms in Uganda caused more alarms than whispers? Why should the president's refusal to sign it into law draw a lot of debate as if it is his first time to do a similar thing? Could it be that money could have exchanged hands somewhere to catalyze its passing.
The multinationals that are actually splashing dollars around are known. They are Monsanto and Syngenta. They have even sponsored most of the researchers you see in Uganda. You go to Naro, Namulonge. These researchers who are promoting the gospel of GMOs have PhDs, courtesy of the sponsorship of these multinationals.
For several months now, it has been pending on the order paper in the parliamentary notices of business to follow. Henry Okurut, UBC.